Senator Daines is next.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Commissioner Werfel, I'd like to begin by addressing my Putting First Responders First Act, which was signed into law as part of the retirement legislation that we considered in this committee last Congress. This law will make compensation received by disabled first responders tax exempt even after retirement, and importantly, will end the improper audits of disabled first responders that stem from ambiguity around the retirement age. However, the version that was signed into law moved the effective date of the bill to 2026, which was different from the committee-passed version that had this provision taking effect immediately. The unfortunate consequence of this is that erroneous IRS audits of disabled first responders could continue for the next few years. I ask for your commitment to immediately end the improper audits of disabled first responders in a question for the record following your confirmation hearing. And frankly, I was very dissatisfied with the response. Now you've been confirmed. Congratulations. I'm going to give you another opportunity to answer this, which I believe is a very straightforward question. It's this: will you commit to ending the improper audits of disabled first responders?
Well, first of all, Senator, I want to thank you for championing this really important issue. I think it's absolutely critical, and I am committed to helping you with your objective. What I can commit to you is us issuing clarifying guidance that will assist disabled first responders when they're preparing their tax returns. We're going to conduct outreach with them. We're going to walk them through the guidance. We're going to try to mitigate the risk of there being an issue of follow-up. If there is an issue of follow-up, we will work directly with them to address it. I can't commit, to exclude all audits on any one topic. I just can't go that far, but it has my attention. It's a priority for me, and we will work with this community to get it right.
I tried to make it easy. I said improper audits. That's why I said, here, let me give you a chance to answer it again.
Yes.
Will you commit to ending improper audits of disabled first responders? I think that, I know
yes,
some, I know.
I will.
Yes, it's a yes or no, and I'm trying to give you the lanes here to make it clear. And look, as you know, a lot of folks watch these responses. And our first responders, when you hear their stories who have been disabled while on duty, there's a lot of terrible stories about what's happened here in terms of the IRS coming after them, and they live in fear, not knowing that the most frightening letter to get in the mail is a letter from the IRS. It's like an audit, and they're already dealing with so many issues. So I heard you say yes.
I did.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And you have a lot of families of disabled first responders who will be relieved to hear that answer. And look, this committee passed it. This was our intent. And thank you for taking maybe some anxiety and anxiousness away from families that are already dealing with a lot of pain.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Commissioner Werfel, you've been quick to tout the success of the IRS and the taxpayer experience. However, I think it depends a bit on what metric you're looking at. Prior to getting in public service, I was working for companies, Procter & Gamble being one of them. Another was a cloud computing company that we focused on a CRM suite for large, both public entities and private entities that had a B2C kind of model here and taking care of customers. You're touting an 84% customer satisfaction rate for toll-free assistance, but simultaneously the IRS is seemingly deprioritizing suspended tax returns, amended tax returns, and correspondence. There's literally tens of millions of items languishing. I know all of us here, when we are working with constituent services, deal with our constituents who are saying, we feel like we're tow trucks to go in and get some return that's in the ditch somewhere and pull them out to help the people that we serve. Should Treasury and the IRS really be taking a victory lap at this point based on cherry-picked metrics like the highly misleading and often criticized level of service for some of its toll-free assistance?
So I have several thoughts in response. First of all, I think the issue with the backlog of paper returns is we actually are making dramatic progress. I mean, we were at 20 million backlog, and that was caused by COVID. And we never had a backlog like this before, but we had to shut down our operations right in the spring of 2020 as the world was shutting down. So days and days of paper piling up, and we're still catching up, and we're making progress. Like, we cut it in half last year to this year. Now we have to, during filing season, we have to redirect resources to the phones. We don't have as much staff that we can manage the paper backlog. With the end of filing season, we anticipate making more progress. But I also want to address your question about the victory lap. I think it's absolutely critical for the American people to understand that when we are funded at the right level, then we can be there to answer the call. That they don't have to wait for 25, 30 minutes on the phone wondering if they're ever going to get through. If we don't have that funding, then we can't staff the customer service centers with the right amount of people. It's math. Yep. It's a question of volume and can we meet the demand? And I think that's why we want to celebrate this.
So I'm out of time, but just one thought on that is as you look at your metrics, perhaps, and sometimes it's not as much enjoyment in looking at metrics that still are very discouraging, but you can talk about the improvements. So if 20 million was the number and you're down to 10 million, let's track that number and report on that and just keep it public as you're chipping away on that and the scoreboarding idea here to get that down to
Time of the gentleman's expired.
Okay.
Senator Warren.
All right, thank you.